Have you ever bothered or wondered why certain struggles keep repeating in your life or family? No matter how hard, you pray, work, or try to change. You see, in Odinala, we call this Ike Ụwa, the karmic debt, the unseen weight carried from the past life. It is not punishment. It is a sacred assignment. And until this is faced, the circle or the cycle continues. But when it is resolved, freedom flows, blessing rises, and the lineage itself is healed. Today, I will be showing you what Ike Ụwa truly is, and the signs it leaves in our lives or family, and a path to resolving or breaking free from this. You see, in Odinala spiritual consciousness, Ike Ụwa literally means, the burden or weight carried into this world. It is often understood as karmic debt, the consequences of choices, vows, violations, or imbalance carried from past lives, ancestral patterns, or one's own present actions. You see, Ike Ụwa is not a punishment. Rather, it is a sacred law of balance. It is the echo of causes that must meet their effect so that harmony is restored. So just like, footprint on a wet earth, as it cannot disappear until it dries, so it is. No deed of a soul disappears until it is reconciled. Somebody may be asking, this Ike Ụwa that we are talking about, why is it important? Or why must one even pay attention to it? Understanding Ike Ụwa is very important because it explains why certain struggles, delays, repeated patterns of, problems follows individuals or families, even when efforts, are made to progress. Even when one has tried so much in order to progress, to succeed, to achieve one's goals or desires, just like every other person. But the more you try, the more you do everything that you feel that you can or you are able to do, things continue to persist. Problems, stagnation, setbacks, repeated, cycle or patterns continue to happen. Even in one's life and in the lives of other members of the same family. This is as a result of Ike Ụwa. You see, the importance of Ike Ụwa cannot be overemphasized because it reveals that life challenges are not random, but part of a large soul contract of remembrance, learning, and restoration. It teaches personal responsibilities, reminding us that the soul writes its own script before incarnating into this time-space reality. All right? And even a soul chooses to take up a burden and to resolve that burden in order to achieve higher growth. A soul can discover that a particular family line or lineage has been going through certain repeated problems and decides to come into that family in order to resolve such a problem. You see, incarnations are not just, movement from the spirit into the physical world. Just like that, there is always a purpose for every incarnation. And everyone who incarnated, who comes into this lifetime or into this world, has an assignment coming in. And those assignments might look like a punishment or look like a burden, but the soul actually decides to come to do that. Okay? So be that as it may, we want to look deeply into the purposes, the benefits, and the root causes of Ike Ụwa. You see, there are certain purposes why Ike Ụwa exists. The purpose of Ike Ụwa are enormous, but we will touch, few of them in this video and in this teaching. You see, one of the purposes of Ike Ụwa is to awaken remembrance. You see, Ike Ụwa pushes the soul to question, to seek, and to remember its divine origin. You see, without certain repeated patterns and struggles and stagnations, certain persons will not want to know who they are. But through that, you begin to question everything that you have ever believed and start seeking the truth and nothing but the truth. You see, another purpose of Ike Ụwa is to purify and refine the spirit. You see, just as gold is refined in fire, karmic depth is the fire that burns away pride, ignorance, and imbalance in the soul. Another purpose of Ike Ụwa is also to restore harmony in the lineage. There are so many distorted family lineage, and there are so many disharmonies in different families or generational tree. Okay? But through Ike Ụwa presence, such lineage, the good things of the lineage will be restored. There will be healing of so many things that have, happened in the previous times over that family. So, for example, many Ike Ụwa comes from ancestral transgressions, such as unpaid, vows, bloodshed of fellow human beings, carried out by certain, predecessors of that lineage. Things like land desecration and also broken covenants. There are many family covenants and there are many covenants made, but it has been broken by so many forefathers and foremothers of certain families. You see, by carrying and resolving these, a soul becomes a healer for the entire family line and bloodline. So it is so much important that if there is an Ike Ụwa over a life or a family, resolving it is very, very important, because then and only then will that individual or family line be able to experience a new light in their days. Another purpose of Ike Ụwa has to do with guide destiny. You see, often the very thing that looks or feels like, a heavy cross becomes the doorway to one's true mission and gift if actually faced squarely. You see, to a very large extent, just like we said, there are more purposes for Ike Ụwa. But then let's look, into root causes of Ike Ụwa. What are the causes? How does this Ike Ụwa happens to, take root in one's life or family? Number one, aspect of Ike Ụwa, because Ike Ụwa rises from several causes. There are several sources of Ike Ụwa. There are several roots that can create Ike Ụwa in one's life. But then we want to look into one or two of that. Number one root cause of Ike Ụwa is personal past actions. Individual past actions. You see, there are a whole lot of choices that we make. And in the previous life, there are so many choices that we made in previous incarnations that left unpaid. Just as we are in this present time, there are so many choices we are making. Some are favorable, some are not. Some favors us and favors others. Why some does not favor us, neither does it favor other people. These actions, these choices, okay, there are so many people, so many promises we make. Some we keep, some we don't keep. All right? So personal choices can result into Ike Ụwa. So there are personal, past life actions or past life choices that was made in our previous incarnations that were unpaid. Such can cause Ike Ụwa. Another root cause of Ike Ụwa is ancestral transgressions. You see, there are so much unresolved actions of our forefathers and our foremothers, passed into the bloodline that are awaiting cleansing. Each and every one of us had our forefathers and our foremothers who lived their lives according to the choices that they chose to make. Most of these were not graceful and were not to the betterment of humanity. And some of those things that were unresolved were passed down to the next generation, and so on to the next generation, to the next generation. Okay, before it gets to you. And you might be a soul that chose to now incarnate into that family for the single purpose of resolving this unresolved karma that have been in this bloodline. These unresolved actions, that have been causing struggles, stagnations, sicknesses, untimely deaths, repeated cycles, failure at the edge of breakthroughs, rising and falling, making it, and at the end of the day, you find yourself falling down and cannot rise again. So all of these have been waiting for cleansing and healing. So that ancestral transgressions is another root cause of Ike Ụwa. Another root cause of Ike Ụwa is broken covenants. And that is why we always tell people, be careful of the kind of oath, promises, agreements, that you make or you try to make with people, or promises you make to spirits, or promises you make to yourself, or promises you make to your loved ones or your spouse, as the case may be. Okay? You see, sworn oaths, unfulfilled spiritual promises, and even misuse of power can result to a stronghold of Ike Ụwa in the person's life or family bloodline. So Ike Ụwa stems from different, sources. Okay? Broken covenant is a very heavy, root cause of, Ike Ụwa. Another root cause of Ike Ụwa is violation of cosmic laws. So many people live their life and do the things they do, undermining the consequences. Listen. You see, acts against Allah, for example, the Mother Earth, deeds, actions, choices that are against the Mother Earth, that are against one's chi, that is the divine self, and that are against one's Ago or Ikenga or deity or forces. Even some actions that goes against the harmony of creation. These are root cause of Ike Ụwa. When you violate the cosmic law, it becomes a karma owing to be paid. If you don't pay it in the present incarnation, while you're living, when you die, any soul or your soul that incarnates carries on with a burden until it is resolved. You see, another root cause of Ike Ụwa is the fact that a soul can willingly choose to incarnate for a particular assignment. We call that soul choosing lesson. Soul's choosing lesson. Sometimes the soul willingly takes a burden, not as a punishment, but as a sacred assignment to awaken higher wisdom in that soul. You that is watching or listening to this video right now might be that soul who willingly choose to go through the eye of a needle, to pass through pains, struggles, sicknesses, failures, just to awaken higher wisdom and to rise, into a higher consciousness, to uplift humanity. So to a very large extent, it is not a punishment, but something to face squarely and resolve. And let it be known to you that there are many benefits, of resolving one's Ike Ụwa. There are a whole lot. We can't exhaust the benefits in this video. There are a whole lot of benefits, but we will touch one or two in order to help you to see the sign that Ike Ụwa leaves behind, okay, when unresolved or resolved. And by breaking free from your Ike Ụwa, you strike a balance in your life. You strike a balance in your family lineage. And the healing becomes enormous. You see, when one faces and resolves their Ike Ụwa, profound blessings, flows. There will be untold and unfolding of the blessings. Blessings, manifestation becomes effortless. Certain things you so much struggle to achieve before becomes easier. You see, I have a personal experience of Ike Ụwa. When I started my Odinala journey newly, I was being told that, the water families are my major problem. And I